What's going on? What's going on, film fam? Welcome to another episode of Let the Film Speak. I am one of your hosts, Chop. Here with my main man, Willie Jack. Willie Jack, how you doing this evening, big dog?
Hey man, hey, feeling good, feeling great, big dog. It's 7 o'clock, and I'm talking about with my dogs, man. And so, yeah, ready and excited, man. We getting closer and closer to Super Sunday, man. So I can't wait.
Absolutely, man. Closer and closer, man. And it's sad for me too, Willie Jack. I don't know about you, man, but this is a sad Sunday because that's the last little bit of football we got, man, until September? You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be a little bit of break, man. It's a long road ahead, man. I love when we having our football on Thursdays and Sundays and Mondays, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna be a little upset about that. But at the same time, I understand, man, it's gonna be one of the biggest games, and I expect an awesome matchup. But tonight, man, of course. It's our Let the Film Speak show. We normally would do a recap today, but of course, with the week off between the Super Bowl, we had a little bit of time. So we decided to have a little bit of fun on this show, man. So today, we're going to do our own award show, man. We're going to do our own little award show. Of course, we got some news coming our way. We had a few coaching changes, so we're getting into some of that stuff. And then we got something else on the back end of the show to hit y'all with, man. So we definitely got some stuff coming your way. But before we do any of that, we gotta go through the house rules, man. The house rules are the same as always. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe, you know what I'm saying, and hit that notification bell. You know what I'm saying? Be in the know. You become the newest member of the film fam. Holler at your partners, let them know what's going on, what we got going on in the building, and what we got cooking up. And then, of course, like I said in the beginning, be in the know. And I guarantee you, if you do all those things, we will not let you down. Willie Jack, we got a little bit of news today, man. First little bit of news I'll jump into today, Willie Jack. We got former OC of the Baltimore Ravens, Greg Roman. He signs as the new offensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers, alongside the new head coach Jim Harbaugh coming over from Michigan. Willie Jack. So tell me a little bit about this one, man. What you think of this move, man?
And you know what? I actually the more I kind of think about it, I actually do like this move. I don't think it's as popular a hire, or maybe as the hire that maybe people would have thought, because when Justin Herbert being the quarterback there, and so we like to characterize him as a high-powered, high-volume passer, one of these guys that just needs to drop back 50 times and let him air it out because of the talent he has with his arm. But honestly, I think that this move, bringing over Greg Roman, I think this is going to be, in the long run, I think better. Take a lot of that pressure off of Justin Herbert, because it feels like too often we see Justin Herbert not necessarily rise to those occasions where we just put it on his back or on his arm and need him to like I said, to rise above and make the play. So instead, I don't mind this hire, honestly. So we of course know Greg Roman most recently from his time in Baltimore. For all the complaints about maybe limiting Lamar Jackson in his passing game or whatever the case, because of the emphasis he put in the run game, be that as it may, those offenses were always very successful, and they moved the ball very well. Like I said, with a hard emphasis on the run game. And then also, here's another thing as well, that if I'm remembering right, I don't know how I missed this just a minute ago, Chop, but Greg Roman was Jim Harbaugh's OC in San Francisco all those years ago. Greg Roman was the offensive coordinator with Alex Smith and then with Colin Kaepernick. And so we saw how successful that we saw them have great success then as well. Several competitive years with Alex Smith, they couldn't get over the hump because he's kind of limited. You bring in Colin Kaepernick, and then, like you said, and then like you break through, you go to the next level, you get to a Super Bowl, and then you fall just short by 3 points to your brother, of course, with the Ravens. But like I said, man, I do like this move. We've seen them work well together before, and so I definitely think with Justin Herbert's ability to still stretch the ball upfield, he does still have a cannon for an arm. Now they will have their hands full in fixing or revamping this running game for the Chargers, which has been a great struggle for, it feels like, the last 5-6 years here, but. Bringing in Greg Roman, knowing Jim Harbaugh's background is where he had a strong background in running the ball with Frank Gore, and then of course at Michigan, in the great success he had there. So I guarantee there's going to be a big emphasis on fixing that front line, strengthening that run game, and now we'll play more so kind of behind a more physical brand of ball, and then let Justin Herbert kind of cash in and punish defenses for, you know what I'm saying, for having to respect that run game. And so I think this, I like the thought of where this is going. It's a good change of brand in football for what we've seen from the Chargers, because just flat out, Justin Herbert can't win like Patrick Mahomes can. We can't just drop him back 70 times and just let him try to air it out and dice it up. I think we've seen enough. We've got all we can get out of watching him do that. And so I like this change of pace.
Absolutely, Willie Jack, and I'm with you there too. I'm not sure, and it makes me really think about the reason that the Baltimore Ravens decided to get rid of Greg Roman. And we watched this Baltimore Ravens team the last few years, and it looked as if there's a lot of different reasons why we can go and explain why that Baltimore offense wasn't as successful. But in my opinion, looking at that offense this year and the things they were able to do, I'm not so positive that it's been that much of a difference, from Greg Roman to Ty Monken. Not necessarily in terms of like the scheme and the way they approach, but more so in regards to just the overall production. Lamar Jackson didn't have like a crazy year this year. He had a solid year. He had a good year in terms of his protection of the ball and all those different things. But in terms of just the overall production of that offense, you can't necessarily say that it's overall, worse or that much better. They've added more weapons, which we've known they've needed that for a while too. But overall, I would say that I like the move of this Greg Roman, and it also puts me in the mindset of, all right, what are they going to do now? What moves are they going to make in the offseason, in terms of their backfield, or the weapons that they have to help fit what Greg Roman would like to do with that offense. So I'm curious to see what happens there, Willie Jack.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Absolutely. In other news, Joe Barry, man. Joe Barry, he signs as the DC of the Miami Dolphins, man. So he goes after having or losing that spot with the Green Bay Packers after the Packers decide to part ways with him. He immediately lands another DC job over in Miami with the Dolphins, in which he has some different pieces to play with now. He has some nice defensive linemen. Of course, now they're coming off of large injuries, and then he has some new weapons. Well, one, Xavier Howard, he's been there for a while, but then Jalen Ramsey, he has some pieces over there, and now it's just a matter of, what can he do with these pieces, and can his defense really be successful? Willie Jack, what's your thoughts on this one?
I don't necessarily. Joe Barry just wasn't a name that I'm necessarily a fan of. I don't think I don't like what he did necessarily in Green Bay. I felt like he underachieved there with the talent that they did have, and so and not to put it all on him. The players got to perform as well. But honestly, man, I still feel like I feel like that scheme kind of left a lot to be desired, so to say. I think it was especially for the talent he had in the secondary, namely Jair Alexander, and then of course more recently you get the young Eric Stokes. And so, but it's a heavier zone style scheme. But I think the guys he had on the outside there specifically, I think they were more suited to be a slightly more aggressive kind of man style defense. And so I just don't think he necessarily got the best out of the talent that he had in Green Bay. But then, like you said, there's a lot of pieces to like over there in Miami, though. And so, like I said, you've got Xavier Howard, you've got Jalen Ramsey. Christian Wilkins is a free agent, or he's due to hit free agency, but I would imagine that they probably get something done to retain him. You still got the young Jalen Phillips. You still got Bradley Chubb, who did suffer the injury, but assuming he's going to come back healthy as well, he's assumed to be a cornerstone of this defense. So when that defense comes back healthy, and then, like I said, with the pieces in play, I mean, I'm curious to see kind of what he's able to do there. But honestly, this one doesn't necessarily tickle my fancy, Chap. I like I said, I wasn't necessarily the biggest fan of Joe
He
Barry.
bringing it back
like he did in Green Bay. A oldie but goodie.
Oh, geez. Hey, just to let you know, you don't have to bring that one back, bro. You keep that one in the closet, bro. You don't even have to bring that one back, bro.
For sure.
For sure, man.
And then, matter of fact, man, our dog ZB in the chat, man, he's kind of agreeing with me, man. He said he can't believe that Joe Barry got another job so fast, and that's kind of where I was at. Like, I don't necessarily his last couple especially these last 2-3 seasons in Green Bay just left a lot to be desired in my opinion, man. And so seeing him getting hired so like you said, so quickly or such a quick turnaround. Now maybe the pool of guys available for Miami after Vic Fangio, they let him go to Philadelphia. It's awful nice of them. Just let him out that contract so he can go to another team. But they let him go. Man, I just not necessarily the biggest fan of that one. Did they at least call Vrabel That's what I want to know. Did you at least give Mike Vrabel a call, man?
Hey,
Say, hey, look, man, I know you ain't doing nothing right by now, but we got a defense over with a couple
hey,
pieces. If you ain't doing, you got nothing going on.
I'm gonna tell you where Vrabel coming.
Golly.
Y'all might as well get comfortable. You know what I'm saying? I'm telling you where Vrabel coming. Come on home, Vrabel. You come on home with your boys, man. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of young pieces over here. Sean McVay, he'll even kill cool guy, man. You gotta, you know what I'm saying, to coach with. Come on home, Mike Vrabel. We can use you, brother. We can use Bill Belichick. I know you don't want to take that step down, but hey, you know what I'm saying? If you just want to come do something just for fun,
just need
you
something
know
to do.
what I mean? Just something to do. Come on over, man. We cool with it. Willie Jack, man, I'm gonna throw it to you. Did I miss any names before I hit the big three that happened over in Washington? Man, before I touch on those, did I mention any of the other names you want to throw out there?
Right here on the spot. I mean, there was a couple moves. Liam Combs, the offensive coordinator in Tampa Bay, but he's not necessarily a known name. Anthony Weaver got promoted to the defensive coordinator
for the Ravens, right?
Yeah, with the Ravens, and so he'll be taking over there.
No, I'm sorry. No,
not the Ravens.
No, Dolphins hired him. Okay, so hold on.
The Dolphins did hire Anthony Weaver. Yeah, where'd Joe Barry come from? Now that as soon as now we said that, I was like, no, yeah, Anthony Weaver. Yeah, Anthony Weaver came from the Ravens, I believe, and I think now he's the DC in Miami. Yeah. Boy, I ain't gonna lie.
Okay, Joe Barry is assistant. I don't know why I said DC. Anthony Weaver is the DC in Miami. Okay, Joe Barry is defensive assistant. Okay, he's our defensive assistant.
Okay, there we go. So I still feel the same way about Joe Barry. And then with Anthony, okay, now that makes a little more sense because Anthony Weaver, he's a younger guy. This is his first defensive coordinator position. He did get definitely some valuable time in that Ravens organization. He was one of the assistants under Mike McDonald, and so now in his first job as an official DC, a young guy, you do get an experienced guy to kind of be in the room with them and maybe kind of help. Kind of help him, assume the responsibilities and the roles. But if he's bringing with a lot of the juice that we saw from Baltimore, then no, I like that a lot more. That means it's going to be a much more aggressive style of defense for sure. Like I said, we already talked about the pieces that they've got that they could be aggressive with. Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb when he gets back on the outside. Christian Wilkins, you bring him back, and so now I like that. And then you still got good secondary play as well from those guys. And like I said, it'll be a much more aggressive scheme, assuming he carries over the things that he brought with him from Baltimore. So okay,
yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad we cleaned it up, Willie Jack.
Yeah, because as soon as I said his name, I was like, Anthony Weaver. I couldn't even think of the team. I was like, okay, I'm glad we caught it though. We all right.
We cool. We straight. Yeah. Did I miss any other one? You want to go ahead and jump into it?
Real quick on the fly, man. Let's go ahead and congratulate Teddy Bridgewater, man. Officially hanging him up. He announced his retirement. He was the backup in Detroit. He's going back home to his alma mater, his high school, Miami Northwest High School. He's going to be the head football coach there. And so, congratulations, man, on a great career. Matter of fact, he might have been the guy to put Louisville on the map. You know what I mean? Teddy Bridgewater back in the day was the quarterback at Louisville.
He was Lamar Jackson before Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he was Lamar, but he was the black dude quarterback in Louisville before Lamar. So congratulations to him, man. He had a decent start to his career. His career got derailed, man. Had a massive injury to his to a knee in Minnesota, and it looked to be it was potentially career ending. So very serious knee injury there, and then he actually he rebounded and found a second life in this league, man. And like I said, by all intents and purposes, loved in every locker room he's ever been in. And so congratulations on a great career to Teddy Bridgewater.
Absolutely. All right, Willie Jack. Well, that brings us to the last bit of news, man. And the last head coaching spot has been solidified, man. Washington was the last team out there still looking for a head coach, and they've decided to hire former head coach and also former defensive coordinator Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn lands the job with the Washington Commanders. Dan Quinn, of course, originally. Well, probably not originally. I have to really look back in his coaching history, but coming from Seattle and the defensive coordinator there, eventually landed him a head coaching job in Atlanta, I believe, and then continuing as a DC, and now gets his second chance. So Dan Quinn gets his second chance in Washington. Willie Jack, what's your thoughts on this one?
This one I think was I thought Dan Quinn would get a job, but I thought I don't know, man. His name kind of ran a high and cold. So even at the end of last year, I think he had a little more buzz on his name last year to get one of those head coach position ever open then. And he turned it down, wanted to run it back with the Cowboys and really kind of build on what he had kind of got going there with Micah Parsons and kind of that defense. And then, like I said, that falls short, relatively quickly. That defense, they had some moments there, but they kind of, especially towards the later they got to the season, it really turned into a bend but don't break style of defense, where and then they broke more than often. But I don't necessarily hate the move. It's not the move necessarily I would have made. It's not my choice of move. I think there were better candidates out there available, but I don't necessarily hate the thought of Dan Quinn as a coach because I do remember his first time coaching in Atlanta, like love it or otherwise, he got to a Super Bowl. And
Yeah.
honestly, if not for maybe if Devontae Freeman picks up if Devontae Freeman doesn't whiff on a free block on a free blitzer in the slot, he's probably a Super Bowl champion. If Julian Edelman doesn't make a top 3 catch we've ever seen in a Super Bowl, you know what I mean, on a 3rd and 15 or a 3rd and 12, he's a Super Bowl champion. You know what I mean? So he's literally 2-3 plays away. If they get one first down in the last 12 minutes of that game, you know what I mean? They went 3 and out like 6 times in a row. You know what I mean? Like, so he's so many things that just the way the history falls or history writes itself. He could have been a Super Bowl winning coach in Atlanta, and I think he did that within his first 3 years or so in taking over that job. And then honestly, even with this Cowboys defense, like the improvements he did make to that defense, and then even like I said, like unleashing Micah Parsons as we know him now. Micah Parsons was drafted to be a stand-up middle stack backer. You know what I mean? That's what they brought him in for. Thankfully, as fate would have, DeMarcus Tank Lawrence gets injured. They put Michael Parsons down there on like a special package because he's an athlete, and then turns out we found the damn second coming of Lawrence Taylor. You know what I mean? And then now crafting the defense and kind of like helping us know Micah the Parsons the way we know him now. You know what I'm saying? Like so there needs to be some credit there. I was a fan of what he did in Seattle, just like my dog Chop said. He started out as like one of the position coaches. I can't think of the black dude that was the DC there when they first came over. I can't think of his name now. I feel bad for you, bro. But then he worked his way up from the position coach, turns to the DC, and then of course, like my dog said, he goes to Atlanta. Has great success in Atlanta. You know what I mean? A couple division titles. Matt Ryan was an MVP under his watch. They get to a Super Bowl. They're 2 or 3 plays away from being Super Bowl champions. He goes to Dallas. He does a lot of good there, kind of fixing and correcting a Dallas defense that had gotten stale and kind of lost its way. And so the more I thought about it, I don't necessarily hate the hire, but I do think that there was probably it just wouldn't have been my necessarily my cup of tea. But it's not the worst possible hire I think they could have made.
Gotcha, Willie Jack, and I'm with you there for most of that. And what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and piggyback off of that because not only did the Washington Commanders bring over Dan Quinn as their new head coach, they also bring in and sign a new OC and DC. The first on OC, of course, they bring in Cliff Kingsbury as the OC of the Washington Commanders. And then also on defense, they bring in Joe Witt Jr. So these 2 people are going to be coming along with Dan Quinn, taking on the duties, trying to lead this Washington team to hopefully maybe a playoffs at some point. But being alongside Dan Quinn, but my question mark was really about Cliff Kingsbury. Okay, Cliff Kingsbury and the when he originally got the job with the Cardinals. Okay, when he originally got the job with the Cardinals, a lot of people questioned him then, especially coming straight from college. All right, what could you possibly do? But then on top of that, you not only are coming from college and you have to work with Josh Rosen. I think that was the first pick that he made when he came in as the first.
No. Josh Rosen was the quarterback that the previous staff had just drafted the year before, and then he got there and drafted Kyler Murray.
Okay, yeah, help clean it up for me. Yeah. But that was his original task. So to be fair, before everybody jumps on the head of Cliff Kingsbury and him getting an opportunity here, let's be fair of what he had to work with. Okay, he didn't have the best to work with. if we to say the least, when we're talking about that. So we have to remember that in terms of Cliff Kingsbury. Cliff Kingsbury. I'm kind of in trouble with this name, Willie Jack. Are we flipping roles, man? What's going on here? I need to know what's going on. So
Cliff Kingsbury. There we
Cliff
go.
Kings. I ain't gonna give him a nickname because I looked at his initials and I just too close, so I ain't gonna even say. But anyway,
yeah, let's go and get out of there.
Yeah, let's don't get out. Willie Jack, what's your thoughts on the Cliff Kingsbury side of things before we jump on the DT side?
Well, Cliff Kingsbury is a guy. It's never really made sense. He's one of those guys where the old saying, like some people, he fell up. You know what I mean? Like he tripped upstairs. You know what I mean? Because he's never had great success anywhere that he's been the coach. And so, of course, now he was the coach at Texas Tech, and Patrick Mahomes was the was under his guidance or whatever at Texas Tech, where they aired it out and they threw for a bunch of yards. They had a bunch of losses. I mean, they were never necessarily competitive at any point there. And then he goes from that job to the Arizona Cardinals. I think he's the guy that replaced the one and done Steve Wilkes. Like it, love or otherwise, didn't necessarily feel great about how that happened. And so he's never like he just had he's never like he doesn't have any stripes, but he still keeps kind of getting these outstanding opportunities. And so his time in Arizona, they did have that one. I'm not gonna call it magical, but they had that one year where they did find success. I think they end up going 11-5 after starting 10-0 that year. But that offense, while it was spread out and Kyler Murray was dynamic in it, and the year that him and D Hop had first got there, and it was kind of they had some magical moments there. But that offense in and of itself was relatively vanilla. Or you know what I mean? Outside of it being a lot of 4 and 5 wide, but it still. He didn't have just great success, and then they quickly from that year where they had a lot of success as far as winning games and such, they quickly fell to like the bottom 5-6 in all the offensive rankings in the league before he finally gets fired. And so, but be that as it may, he was a guy that there was a lot of buzz around his name. I know he was actually had agreed to accept the position to be offensive coordinator for Antonio Pierce's Las Vegas Raiders, but then contractually they couldn't work out a deal as far as a contract. I guess they didn't want to pay him the number he was asking for, so he withdraws from that. He withdraws from the Raiders position and then accepts the position with Dan Quinn's Washington Commanders. And so I'm curious to see kind of what he does there. I don't necessarily know if going kind of if spreading it out and being 5 wide is more of what they need in Washington. Now we assume, I guess, in this draft, they're the number 2 pick, that they're going to go get their own quarterback. But we saw this offense kind of try to live like that just this past season under Eric Bieniemy. And for better or for worse, I mean, it didn't necessarily equate to a lot of wins in the way they wanted. So I don't necessarily love this move, but we'll see what he's learned, I guess, from his time. Like I said, with the Cardinals, and then also this last season, he was working under Lincoln Riley at USC with Caleb Williams, and so there's a chance that maybe they make a move to try to get Caleb Williams, get the number 1 pick, or whatever the case, and maybe they try to bring Caleb Williams in, and now Cliff Kingsbury, having had time to work with Lincoln Riley, maybe he kind of uses those influences now from USC's offense with Caleb Williams, and so maybe there's something there, and they can kind of get something going. But just on its own face, I just don't necessarily. I'm not necessarily a hire of the. I'm not necessarily a fan of the hire just based on just the merit of Cliff Kingsbury and what we've seen him bring to the league.
Gotcha with you there. And Mike Baker brings up a great point, man. Appreciate you, Mike Baker. But he says he feels bad for Bieniemy, man. So of course, with the Cliff Kingsbury signing, that means Eric Bieniemy is out the door now. So Eric Bieniemy is out and he's looking for a job. And for all, if you ask me, he's still a great offensive mind, still a guy that can come in and make a difference to an offense. So it's just, to me, I think it's just a matter of time. Even if he may have to sit out this year, I think his opportunity will come at some point. But yeah, you got to feel bad for Bieniemy.
Yeah, no doubt. And like, I'm curious, like just like you said, man, I'm curious to see kind of where he lands. I mean, I think the only big time offensive coordinator role still open right now is the Seattle job, but I don't know about any I haven't heard any talks or connections with him and Mike McDaniel or Mike McDonald, the new defensive coordinator turned head coach there. And so I don't necessarily know if he winds up there, but more likely it may be one of those situations, kind of like what happened with Brian Flores 2 years ago with the Steelers, where you got just a good coach that's sitting out there. Maybe somebody calls him up and convinces him to, hey, come out here, let us give you a little money, be the assistant to the head coach, passing game coordinator, or some style of role like that, where because there's still like my dog Chop just said, there's still a lot that he can bring to an offense in a consulting role, from all the time and all the things that he's learned under the wing of Andy Reid. And so maybe I would think that maybe he winds up on somebody's roster in that style of role before maybe getting a shot at a head job, or at least another OC job next cycle.
Gotcha. And speaking of passing game coordinator Willie Jack, just because I know I said his name initially, but just want to give everybody who don't know who Joe Witt Jr. is, give him a flower. So Joe Witt Jr. as the DC of gets hired as the DC of the Washington Commanders. He actually has followed Dan Quinn the last 4 years. So he was the defensive passing game coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons, and for the last 3 years with Dallas. So Joe Witt Jr. has followed Dan Quinn the last 4 years. He's been a DC in the NFL, and he's kind of been that guy that really has been a secondary coach and defensive pass game coordinator. So that secondary that we've been seeing over the past few years, when we saw Trayvon Diggs lead the league in interceptions, then we come back and see the season this year that what's my guy had DeRon Bland, who returned 5 interceptions. They're turning out DBs now. Now, one they went to go get and bring over and Stephon Gilmore, but the others, man, they've been turning them out and turning them into some playmakers. So when we see the possibilities and what this could potentially be with Joe Witt going over there, he's got a young defensive back over there who I thought had the chance to become like the defensive rookie of the year this year. Of course, they didn't pan out because everybody been open in the Washington secondary. But he has some young talent to work with over in Washington, so we'll see what he tends to do. But just kind of give everybody a background on where he came from and what his specialties are.
Gotcha.
For sure. All right, Willie Jack, I think it's about time, man. We had a few people fall off in the building, man. Let's do a film check-in real quick, see who's off in the building before we jump into these awards, man.
No doubt, man. First one through the door, man. Our favorite co-worker, our dog Zach the Max ZB, man. He said, "Happy Super Bowl week, everybody." Even though this is one of the grossest matchups, man, he's not a fan of the matchup. The Chiefs rematch versus the 49ers. But man, I'm not gonna lie, man. It's not necessarily the matchup I necessarily wanted, but as long as we get a good game, man, I'll take it. Then second one in the door, right behind him, man. Mom Dukes, appreciate you, lady. Happy Wednesday. Have a blessed show as always. You know we love you, lady. Then of course, our dog, man, my Steelers brethren, Michael Baker in the building as well, man. And so, we already shouted you out, man. Talked to you a little bit early, but yeah, appreciate y'all. I see the rest of y'all in here watching. Drop something in the chat so I can holler at you, man. Don't forget to hit that like button as well while y'all sitting down getting comfortable.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. Wait, without further ado, man, I think it's about time we jump into the awards, man, and we give the official Let the Film Speak awards, man. I know y'all got these other AP finalists, and y'all got PFF, and all these other players and platforms giving out these awards, but it ain't an award unless Let the Film Speak hands it out, man. So we're gonna jump right into it, Willie Jack, and we're gonna get right to the biggest one, man. The MVP, probably the most controversial award of this year. Has been back and forth, up and down, and this award has probably changed hands throughout the season. I would say at least 4 or 5 times. So, Willie Jack, I want to hear from your mouth. Who do you feel like should be this year's NFL MVP of the league?
No, I think, like you said, I think it was a struggle just to find a consistent candidate is what the problem was. But I think once we got into the latter half of the season, that last quarter of the season, that last stretch of the season, I think it was clear cut kind of around the league. One guy that really kind of stepped up and separated himself. That's none other than MVP Lamar Jackson. And so now the season didn't end the way they wanted to, of course, in the postseason. This is the regular season award. But I'm definitely going Lamar Jackson. Now, head to toe, top to bottom, start to finish, week 1 to week 17, was he the absolutely most electric or most dynamic or most productive player or quarterback in the league? Well, no. But I think he definitely played his best ball in the biggest games against the best competition. He won those very critical primetime heavyweight matchups, and they normally did so in impressive fashion. And I think that was enough to really kind of catapult and propel him to this award over, like I said, over some other guys that really nobody else was really able to kind of separate themselves from the pack. And so I think Lamar, especially in that home stretch, really did enough to kind of cement this award for himself, his second of his young career.
Gotcha. All right, Willie Jack, and I see my dog Zach the Mac here, man. He said, "Here he comes." I think he was waiting for you to mention, man. He was waiting for you to mention your what you call him, your stepson.
Big Josh. No, I mean, no, man. You know what? No, I mean, realistically, no. Like I said, I think he led the league in total yardage. He led the league in total touchdowns. He was, like, I think, top 3 in interceptions as well. But no, not quite enough to cement the MVP necessarily. I think they really kind of dug themselves in an early hole to kind of start the season, and then, like I said, they had to play a lot of get back ball to kind of make the run that they did. But no, I didn't really feel like quite an MVP season, so to say.
Gotcha, Willie Jack. And hey, man, I went back and forth on this award. I ain't gonna lie to you, a bunch of times, because you know what I've been saying all season long about, for one, how fickle the MVP award is, and just kind of going back and forth, man. And I'm actually gonna go with Dak Prescott, man. I'm gonna go with Dak Prescott for the MVP award. Okay, and here's the reason: is because to me, I don't think there was a quarterback that played at a higher level more consistently throughout the regular season now, because that's a part of it too. A lot of people have this recency bias when they start watching these players and they see them in the playoffs. No, this is a regular season award, and granted, every game wasn't perfect by Dak, but when you talk about the highest level of QB play throughout the season, and more consistently, I don't think any QB played better than Dak Prescott for a longer stretch. I'm talking about from the big time throws, from just his ability to create, just create plays, and his connection with CeeDee Lamb, man. And quite honestly, CeeDee Lamb, as much as we talked about Tyreek Hill and AJ Brown as the first half of the season, or maybe the 3/4 way through the season, I think slowly CeeDee Lamb kind of took each one of their places as maybe the top receiver in this year. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the way that they finished and the way they came along the final stretch. So I got to give it to Dak Prescott for me. They come away, they win that division, and they just had a strong showing, man. And I feel like Dak Prescott was a huge part of this team's success throughout the regular season. And yeah, I would have to give him as my most valuable. I like the Lamar Jackson pick, and the reason why is because, of course, they're gonna give it to him. The bigger games, his team has the best record. So when it came to him playing some of the top teams, he showed up. You know what I'm saying? So those were things you can't really knock him for. But when it comes to like just the top level, like reaching the peak of performance, Lamar Jackson didn't reach the level that Dak reached this year. So I would have to go with Dak Prescott, man.
And you know what? See, I don't necessarily hate that pick. And there was a stretch there where Dak Prescott was leading my own MVP kind of race as well. There's a little stretch there. But see, the problem with Dak Prescott is he's almost the exact, here's y'all word of the day. It was almost the exact antithesis of Lamar Jackson.
Say that one more time. Say that one more time for me, Jack.
Antithesis. You gotta let that roll off the tongue.
So when it comes to names, hey, Willie Jack, he ain't the person you want to holler at. But if you talking about just words though, that ain't names, that's your man.
You got. But no, but that's the thing. It was like he was like Lamar's evil twin, where Dak lit it up all year in all the nothing games, but then he always felt to play his worst game or have his worst moments in those big games. And so I think about that first Philly game where that game's right there for the taking, and they just crap their legs down the back. They just kind of piss it away there and let Philly get away with that one. Even in the second Philly game where he did play much better, but there were like that. He played a lot better, but it still necessarily didn't give me the for the satisfaction that I got like watching Lamar Jackson just completely take over and dominate against the Dolphins. And then I think about that Seattle game where if not, that's another game where I feel more like for one, it wasn't expected to be a heavyweight shootout the way it turned into, but there was moments there in which I still feel like Seattle didn't step up or didn't make the plays that were there to win that game more so than Dak necessarily, who played well in that game, but it still feels like the game was decided based on more so what Seattle did than what necessarily Dak and that offense led them to do. And then even in that Detroit Lions game as well, which had massive implications for potential number one seeding and all these type of things. And Dak played well in that game as well, but the determining factor in that game for me wasn't Dak taking over and just and hammering it home. We're at home and doing this. It was more so I look at that game, it's like, well, damn, it's another one that Detroit lost. And so I just feel like he always kind of came up a little short or just left me wanting in those bigger heavyweight style matchups. But other than that though, he was lights out, man, and they were damn dominant. For the 13 games of this season. But like I said, it was always kind of against the kind of they did a lot of beating up on the teams that they should have beat up on, as you should, outside of the one bad loss they had early in the year to the Cardinals with Josh Dobbs. I still don't know how they lose that game. They were a little beat up, but I don't want to hear about you being beat up and injured. You're going against the Cardinals with Josh Dobbs at quarterback. I want you to make something happen to get that dub, but they don't. They lose that one early. But like I said, but other than that, man, like I don't necessarily hate it. When I did my own All Pro list, I had Dak Prescott as my first team All Pro, even though I got Lamar as my MVP. I had Lamar as the second team All Pro. But so I see, I agree with everything that you said though, as far as the way he performed in totality, as far as just lighting it up and being productive. I definitely agree there. But yeah, I don't hate that pick though. I don't hate it.
I got you. And let's be honest, y'all. It's a QB's award. You know what I'm saying? They should rename it. The QB award goes to, you know what I mean? Because that's who they cling on to. Regardless of what happens, it never went to a skill guy. It was always a QB at the top, even with the lack of consistent top QB play throughout this season. So, hey, that is what it is. But that leads us to what probably should have been the MVP. And instead he'll go down as the offensive player of the year, and that's none other. And my dog is gonna love to hear me say this, man. C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey, you know what I'm saying, had a phenomenal year this year, man. I'm talking about a phenomenal year. He was everything for this 49ers team. You know, whether in the good games, the bad games, it was one thing that this team could really count on, or one guy that they can really count on in terms of, all right, he's showing up, and that was Christian McCaffrey. I'm talking about from the passing game to the run game, you know, making those explosive plays, you know, doing the small things. Like, it was anything that this team needed him to do, he was able to do. Even in the comeback win in the playoffs against the Green Bay Packers, man. The 49ers decided to stick to the run and work their way back into that game. And a big part of that was Christian McCaffrey and what he was able to do, man. So I got to give him his credit, man. The best player on the field all year long this year, man. And hey, you just gotta get to him, man. Christian McCaffrey, he is my offensive player of the year.
Yeah, no, this one for me was a no-brainer as well. Like, the Offensive Player Award is essentially, just like my dog Chop said, it's the best of the rest. The MVP is going to the best quarterback, or the best quarterback we can make an argument for, and so it is what it is. The Offensive Player of the Year is like, okay, well, if you don't have to give MVP to a quarterback, well, who was the guy? And so I think, excuse me, especially earlier in the year, I think there was a strong push here for this award from Tyreek Hill, but as the season wore on, he got a little banged up, missed a little time. That offense kind of slowed down and lost pace, and so I think he kind of fell out of it. I think CeeDee Lamb is worth mentioning as well, because as the season wore on, he heated up, and so he was almost, one more time, the antithesis of what we saw from Tyreek Hill's season. He more so kind of took off and started to heat up from like week 9 to 17, whereas Tyreek came right out the gate from weeks 1 through 9, 1 through 10 on fire before he kind of slowed back down. And then then CeeDee really kind of took off. And then, as great and as dominant as Tyreek Hill's season was, we were on the 2K watch for the second year in a row. When it's all said and done, CeeDee Lamb finished the year 50 yards short of Tyreek Hill. Tyreek finishes with 1799. CeeDee Lamb finishes with 1749, and I think he had one more touchdown. I think he had 13 to 12, or maybe Tyreek had 12 to his 11. But anyway, I did want to give him some love as well. Like I said, because he did have a phenomenal year for the Cowboys. But like I said, man, this one for me, I think pretty clear cut as well. The best in the business, man. C-Mac, Christian McCaffrey, like I said, more than 2,000 total yards this year, more than 20 touchdowns. Man, can give it to you any way you need it, man. So when it comes to the running back position, man, spare no expense. Go for the best. Christian McCaffrey, the offensive player of the year for sure.
Gotcha. I'm with you, Willie Jack. I'm with you when you're right, brother. I'm with you when you're right, man.
Appreciate you.
On to the next one, man. On to the next one. Let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Let's go to the defensive player of the year, Willie Jack. Who wins that for you, sir?
This is the one that's gonna this is the one that's gonna piss me off because it's been a campaign, it's been a smear campaign all season. It's like they decided that this was gonna be like, damn it, this is gonna be Miles Jack's year to win defensive player of the year. They've been trying to pump that narrative and the story for 17 weeks.
Miles Garrett. You said Miles Jack, but I got you.
Oh, my fault. Yeah, man, appreciate you, my dog. Miles Garrett, yeah. And Miles Garrett, he did start off the season making some splash plays and having a great year. But then I think Miles Garrett's season ended sometime around October because we didn't see him anymore after that. I don't know where he went. He took the last 2 months of the season off. I don't know. It was a playoff game on the road in which you were a favorite, and then I saw Larry Tunsil put you on the shelf for 4 quarters, my boy, in the biggest game of y'all season. I'm just saying, the defensive player of the year, none other, TJ Watt, man. Stop playing with my dog. Led the league in sacks again. I think that he set a record. I think he's the first guy to do that now for 3 times. He took his own bumps and bruises.
3 times in the last 4 years.
Exactly right. And the year that he didn't lead the league in sacks, I think he missed half the season. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, man, definitely consistently, he's consistent. And this is the thing about TJ Watt that I've said before, and that still stands true. And I don't care what anybody says. It stands true when we talk about Myles Garrett. It stands true when we talk about Michael Parsons. It stands true when we talk about Aaron Donald.
Hey man,
this ain't a shot. It ain't a shot at nobody's greatness, but I'm saying when we absolutely have to make a play in this specific moment when the lights get brightest, it feels like TJ Watt makes that play more times than anybody else. When we've absolutely got to have it. And then another thing as well that's a very peculiar stat is that our win-loss record when he's not on the field. There's just no other player, especially defender, that affects wins and losses for his own particular team outside of a quarterback. There's just nobody else that swings the needle like this. I remember Tom Brady going down and Matt Castle and the Patriots winning 11 games that year. You know what I'm saying? They did so well. Matt Castle got $60 million from the Chiefs the next year to start. You know what I'm saying? This is when he lost Tom Brady. You know what I'm saying? We're 1-11 when TJ Watt isn't on the field. It's the damnedest thing. And so TJ Watt, my defensive player of the year, led the league in sacks again, 19 and a half sacks, an interception, a touchdown, forced fumbles. He's spread it around, man, filled up the stat sheet. And like I said, man, consistently one of the best at the business, man. If we're talking about getting to the quarterback, there's few that do it better than my dog TJ.
Gotcha, Willie Jack, and I'm with you there too, Willie Jack. I'm with you there too. And here's if he doesn't win this one, it's gonna piss me off too, Willie Jack. I'm rolling with you on this one. You know what I'm saying? It's not many times I roll 10 toes down with my dog Willie Jack.
My dog.
Some football type things. This one I'm rolling with my dog. Now, if you talking about if you catch us in the streets, you know what I'm saying? Oh, we 10 toes down.
For sure, you're right.
Just putting it out there for anybody that's even thinking about trying it. You gonna put that out there. But anyway, back to the subject here. I'm going with TJ Watt as well. And here's the thing that's gonna piss me off, and this is what pisses me off about the MVP award. Okay. We watched the shift, okay, in terms of this MVP award. Okay, and we watched, all right, Dak Prescott. Oh, Dak Prescott is playing really good. He had a bad game against this top team. Okay. Oh, Brock Purdy. He's playing well. Prime time, one game against Lamar. He's out. Oh, but now we got Lamar. Lamar can do it. Boom. Lamar is on top, right? These things happen within like a 6-week span, right? Just like a 6-week span. You know what I'm saying? We seen one game, Brock Purdy pop up to the top, and we just changed like that. I just went through the whole thing for you. Then we get Myles Garrett, right? Myles Garrett, he's playing well. You know what I'm saying? He has that huge game against the Indianapolis Colts where he wins that game by himself, essentially. Then You know, like you said, Willie Jack kind of falls off, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's nobody else that they put into that light. You know what I'm saying? And that's
Mm-hmm.
why I say the MVP award is just so fickle, and they're just I don't know, they're just so gun ho and strung hold about finding a QB for this particular award when you got your consistent guy that's been consistent all year long right here. He's been
Mm-hmm.
here. He ain't left. You know what I'm
Ain't
saying?
left.
He was right here the whole time. But no, you want to
Mm-hmm.
find this player, find this player. But then you go to the defensive player of the year award, and then it's like you staying consistent. You stand on this guy. Okay, although he didn't show up the last 4 or 5 games of the season, or didn't have top games during the last 4 or 5 games of the season, we're not gonna switch it. These other guys are playing well during these last games, but we still gotta go switch it. We're gonna stick with him. That's where I have an issue, because if you're gonna base it off consistency and that thing, okay, well, let's make it the same across the board, regardless of which award it is. Let's make it the same across the board. Let's not be fickle in one award and be different in another one. That's my whole gripe with this one, and that's part of the reason why I got TJ Watt. And then I'm gonna read off some stats to y'all. Okay,
Come on with it.
TJ Watt, of course, leads the league in sacks with 19. Okay, Myles Garrett with 14. All right, Myles Garrett, four forced fumbles. Okay, TJ Watt, 4 forced fumbles. All right, of those, also Myles Garrett, Myles Garrett, 3 passes deflected. TJ Watt, 8 passes deflected. Tackles for loss. Hold on, maybe Myles Garrett is doing it there. You know what I'm saying? 17 tackles for loss. 19 tackles for loss for TJ Watt. Okay. All right. Well, QB hits, 30 for Myles Garrett, 36 for TJ Watt. Like, it's not adding up, Willie Jack. Also, throw an interception on there for a touchdown for TJ Watt. Let's add that in there as well. TJ Watt affected the game, and not just rushing the passer, but also getting the ball, getting his hands on the ball and returning it to the crib. You know what I'm saying? So those are all of the different things that I've noticed throughout the season, and it's just like, come on, man, we gotta be better. You gotta be better in this, and it just seems like everybody is just, like you said, Willie Jack, pushing the issue about Myles Garrett being the defensive player of the year, and quite honestly, Max Crosby probably should have had that second team, first team All Pro. I'm just gonna say
He did on my list.
Because Max,
it was TJ Watt,
watching
Max
Max
Crosby, first
Crosby,
team.
his consistency and the way he was wrecking the game all year long, he didn't have no breaks all year long. Oh yeah, man. And Myles Garrett didn't show up in the biggest games, the biggest ones, was nowhere to be found. You know what I'm saying? So, hey, that's just my opinion, and that's the reason why I got TJ Watt. TJ Watt was consistent all year, man. So I'm rolling with you, Willie Jack. I got
when you're right, you're right, dog. When you're right, you're right.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. Absolutely. All right, man. Now this is gonna be another controversial one, man. But of course we got to talk about it. Let's go to the offensive rookie of the year, Willie Jack. And y'all know what it is, man. None other than your boy, Puka Nacua. You know what I'm saying? Puka Nacua is your offensive rookie of the year, man. I'm talking about a phenomenal season. Even in a season where they lost what was their best receiver in Cooper Kupp for a certain amount of games, he was the guy that stepped up. Even when Cooper Kupp came back, Puka Nacua was still the guy to help lead this Rams team, which nobody thought they would be there, to a playoff run, to a wild card spot, to have a chance to knock off a team that went to the NFC Championship game in the Detroit Lions, man. The Rams had a chance to do that, and Puka Nacua was a huge part of that, not only just in that game, but just throughout the season, making huge catches, being there and not shying away from the big moment. And he's a rookie. He's a rookie, man, just showing up in so many different moments, and you got to give him the credit, man. And of course with the record as well. This reminds me of Justin Herbert and Justin Jefferson, their rookie years. You know what I'm saying? This reminds me of that, because I feel like it's going to be CJ Stroud who's going to be the guy that come out on top, who also, a phenomenal job, not taking anything away from him. But in its totality, of course, it's a QB league. I have to give it to Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua, to me, had the better season, the more consistent season. And yeah, that's where I'm going with that.
Yeah, so when you're right, you're right. But when you're wrong, man. The answer here is CJ Stroud. And I like that you brought up the year with Justin Jefferson and Justin Herbert, because I was going to talk about that as well, because I don't think this one applies. Justin Jefferson set the entire league on fire. I think there was an argument that year. Justin Jefferson could have been the best receiver in football. Just barred. He put himself in that conversation after that first year playing ball. Puka Nacua was phenomenal this year for sure, but I don't necessarily know if there was that type of chatter. But one thing I'll say as well that's a little different. I think the way that CJ, because I don't even know what the numbers are. Justin Herbert may have had more yardage than CJ Stroud, but I definitely wasn't a fan of his selection for Offensive Rookie of the Year that year. But this thing about CJ Stroud that supersedes what Justin Herbert did, and I think it still supersedes what Puka Nacua did. There was a stretch in which rookie CJ Stroud started getting league MVP rumblings and grumblings. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not talking offensive rookie of the year is cute. You know what I mean? It's a great award. It's a great accomplishment. It's cute. But there was a time and it's terrible that he got injured right as that started to kind of those mumbles started turning into whispers, and then that's when he get injured with the concussion and he misses 2 games there. But there started to be mumbles and grumbles, and then those mumbles and grumbles got a little louder. They turned into whispers for maybe CJ Stroud needs to just have his name in the ring for league MVP. So like when you ascend to that style of level, I think that supersedes with whatever any other rookie in your class is able to accomplish, because nobody else is performing at a manner that is just that warrants that style of conversation. And then let alone, like I said, I know there wasn't a lot of expectations for the Rams. I'll be the first. Chop to tell y'all. I thought the Rams were gonna be a top 5 drafting team this year. I said it on this show. I was like, man, y'all gonna have a top 5 draft pick, bro. What you talking about? Because Chop was like, nah, man, we're gonna be 5. We can get to 500. Chop had faith, man. He held it down. I didn't see it at all. Definitely Puka Nacua was a tremendous part of that for sure. Really carried this offense prior to Cooper Kupp coming back. And then when Cooper Kupp got back, he carried that offense then as well. He supplanted Cooper Kupp as the number 1 option in this offense. But all told, seeing the Texans, I think, were in a similar place to the Rams in my mind to start the season. Didn't have a chance. You know what I mean? A team that was going to be building, rebuilding. You've got a young quarterback, et cetera, a young rookie head coach. We didn't know those weapons. We know names like Nico Collins now and Noah Brown. And then what we saw him do with a 5'8", 170-pound rookie receiver named Tank Dell from the University of Houston, gets to stay home, drafted in the 3rd or 4th round. You know what I mean? Dalton Schultz, who wasn't a big name when he was in Dallas, and then he comes over here as a free agent on a 1-year prove-it deal. You know what I mean? Like these assortment of other no-name kind of guys, and to see just directly his impact on that team and on that division champion as a rookie. You know what I mean? A division win. You know what I'm saying? A playoff win as a rookie in impressive fashion. The games that we saw won on the strength of his play, his arm, his decision making, his spectacular play in like big time moments in big games. And so I hate it for Puka, because in any other year I would definitely love to see him get it. But I think when we look at the season in totality, the magnitude of just what we got from a rookie quarterback, you know what I mean, accomplishing the things he accomplished in the way he did it, garnering MVP style of whispers. You know what I mean? Like I think that sells itself, man. I think it's got to go to CJ Stroud.
And it makes
Puka
sense.
Puka definitely had a tremendous year though, for sure. In all seriousness, Puka did have a tremendous year.
Absolutely, and it makes sense, Willie Jack. The only reason I don't think that as highly as you, Willie Jack, is because he got MVP whispers in a year that we were trying to cling to an MVP. To an award that we couldn't really figure out who was going to be it this year. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. No, you got to be playing some ball to be in a conversation, but at the same time, there was no clear like cut MVP performers all year this year. You know what I'm saying? So they were looking for somebody. That we're talking about in the season where Brock Purdy. I'm still gonna laugh at that one. I'm gonna laugh at that one for a long time.
Well, you're going too hard on Brock Purdy, man.
Hey, man. I know, man. Y'all better start recognizing. I know who Brock Purdy is, man. Y'all just need to get on board because I've been telling y'all from the beginning anyway. Before y'all knew who Brock Purdy
Man,
was, man, y'all better get on
this
board.
ain't gonna age well. Go ahead.
I'm trying to tell you, I know who Brock Purdy is. But anyway,
Yeah.
so it was that, and then on top of that, yeah, of course, Puka Nacua not gonna get MVP award, man. They don't even. You see what they do to wide receivers or skill positions when it comes to offensive rookie of the year. Might as well be MVP junior award. You know what I'm saying? The junior MVP award, man. Because they if a quarterback plays well, man, they're gonna give it to him. That's just what it is. And then also, granted, and this is also not taking anything away from CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, you played wonderful, and you deserve to be in their offensive rookie of the year conversation. But your division also didn't have San Francisco 49ers in it, my dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, you didn't have one of those dogs. You were playing in the division with the Tennessee Titans, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the can't get right Jaguars, and the Colts, can't get right Colts. You know what I'm saying? So the division wasn't as tough, but hey, not hating on him. Got to give him his credit. He had a phenomenal.
Here's real quick though. Are the Jags and the Colts worse opponents to go against than the Cardinals and the Seahawks? Like those feel comparable. I would say
But
the
here's the
Cardinals
thing.
are the worst of those of all those of those four,
But
and I would say
here's
that
the
the
thing.
Jags and the Colts are on par at the very least, or probably on par, or even arguably better than the Seahawks.
But here's the thing though. The Colts and the Jags were the next two top teams in the division. Like the 49ers were the best. You know what I'm saying? The Rams are, you know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I mean, that's what I mean, I give you the one for the Niners, but I think the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are y'all get to play the Cardinals twice. That's all I'm saying. Like the Jags and the
where they
Colts
played the Titans twice.
but we saw, like, I mean, the wins and losses aside, those Titans teams were competitive. We see what the Titans did to the Dolphins.
The Cardinals were competitive. We see what the Cardinals did with the Dallas.
Yeah, but it's Dallas. Dallas is going Dallas, man. Dallas is going Dallas. But I'm just saying, I don't necessarily think that the AFC South was like a cupcake division. I just didn't want it to go like he was in a cupcake division. The Jaguars and the Colts were both borderline playoff teams. You know what I'm saying? Like
no. I'm not saying they're a cupcake division, but what I'm saying is he won the division, right? He won that division.
For sure.
And that's why I was saying 49ers. I know the other teams, they definitely comparable, but I'm saying he won his division in a division with those teams. Whereas if the 49ers were in that division, we would probably be talking we'd be singing a different tune right now in terms of that. So that's all I'm saying. But
I tell you what, the Browns beat the Niners, and guess who beat the Browns? The Texans. Yeah.
Are you a boxing fan, right? You're a boxing fan.
Yeah, I'm just
okay, because Muhammad Ali lost to Joe Frazier. Muhammad Ali beat George Foreman.
Out of Frazier. Hey, touche. That's a touche. That's a good one.
Hey, you silly,
quick on
dog.
your feet right there with that one too. That was a good one.
Absolutely. But let's go to defensive rookie of the year, man. Defensive rookie of the year. Well, I think it's on you this time, man. Who is your defensive rookie of the year this year?
This one for me was the toughest one, man. I think, honestly, when I went through the list, this is the one I went back and forth the most on, honestly, man. I felt pretty good about my selections for everywhere else. And for me, it really came down to me. I went back and forth between two guys. I went back and forth between Jalen Carter, stud defensive tackle for the Eagles. I still can't believe the league let the Eagles draft Jalen Carter at the number 10 spot. Something's wrong. Somebody to investigate Howie. But for him, and then I took a hard look at Will Anderson Jr. and honestly, I just wasn't. I just didn't feel there. I took it, and he wasn't listed as a finalist necessarily, but I also gave some consideration to Kobe Turner, the rookie you guys had, the rookie nose tackle you guys had out of Wake Forest, because he had very good sack production, 9 sacks or so, getting to be the sidekick with Aaron Donald, and you know what I mean. But he had a productive year. But then for me, it really came down to Jalen Carter and Joey Porter Jr. And I end up going with Joey Porter Jr. And I hate that I fought against doing it because I didn't want to be a homer. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be Chop Puka Nacua over MVP discuss CJ Stroud. I didn't want to set myself up like that. I really didn't. But the thing about it, like with Jalen Carter and like looking into his stats, he was productive. He made impact plays. He had a stretch in one of those Cowboys games where he took over a stretch of that game, had a sack, chased down a guy, forced a fumble, and then he recovered a fumble for a touchdown in like the span of like 2 series, if I'm remembering right. So he definitely had impact plays. But he played like 50% of the snaps. You know what I'm saying? And so he wasn't necessarily a full-time starter, which is what it is, but he still was impactful. But then when I really think about kind of like what Joey Porter Jr. did, now I get to see, I've got a closer eye. I'm still his fan. There's no secret there. But took over as a starter and really was a guy we gave him Jalen Ramsey treatment. Like we gave him Jalen Ramsey and Jacksonville treatment. Now he's not Jalen Ramsey. I'm not saying that, but that's how we treated him. Who's the number one this week? Okay, that's yours. DeAndre Hopkins, we play the Titans. Guess who you got? You know what I'm saying? Like Calvin Ridley in the Jaguar, or just anybody. Stephon Diggs in that Buffalo Bills game for the most part. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm trying to think of our schedule, but Amari Cooper in those Browns games. You know what I'm saying? Like he was on Jamar Chase for us when we played the Bengals. You know what I mean? And then honestly, his numbers in these premium style matchups were phenomenal. You know what I'm saying? And so and so from top to bottom, when I look at it, especially as dire as our secondary room was, especially in the early parts of this season, Patrick Peterson lost his legs and was getting honey roasted out there, man, before we finally had to turn to the rookie and admit it is what it is. And so really kind of helped our defense kind of get back on track. I ended up going with the hometown kid and Joey Porter Jr., man. But like I said, the second for me, or the close second for me, man, was Jalen Carter.
Gotcha, Willie Jack. And I went back and forth on this one as well. Just looking to see what a lot of these guys were able to do. And I might go with somebody that's you might not have went with Willie Jack. I'm going with Devin Witherspoon, man. I'm going with Devin Witherspoon. I like what I saw from Devin Witherspoon in his rookie year. And he showed a lot of those flashes of what we saw from him at Illinois in terms of just his ability to read a play, use his instincts, and I'm talking about deliver, a blow when he gets there. You know what I'm saying? So that we've seen a lot of that from Devin Witherspoon. You didn't see a lot of the stats pile up in terms of what he's able to do. But he was being around the ball. So I guess tackles is a stat, but 79 tackles, in the rookie year as a defensive DB, a slot guy, that's a lot of tackles, man. 8 tackles for loss, got to the ball, 3 sacks. So the guy was really making more of an impact than people were able to see. Like, it's not the flashy stuff that you saw from DeRon Bland and returning all the interceptions to the crib. It's just a play for play, being around the ball and just being the guy to make those key tackles. You know what I'm saying? To keep offenses from getting those first downs. Devin Witherspoon was everything that we thought he was going to be coming out as a rookie, and I expect him to be a primetime all-pro caliber player for some years to come. So my defensive rookie of the year is going to be Devin Witherspoon with Jack.
No, and I'm not mad at that. I like I said, definitely was a big fan of his coming in for sure. I think he got hurt. I thought he missed like a good stretch of this year. Like I thought he missed like 5-6 games.
Yeah, so he only played a total of 14 games. He missed 3. He missed 3 games.
Okay, missed 3. Okay, well, man, I wonder if he was in and out of a couple other games. It feels like he had missed a lot of. I thought he had missed some. I thought he had a trouble with injuries or missing some time. But no, he's a phenomenal player for sure. He was, I think, if not my favorite. No, I think he was my favorite player in last year's class. And then the Darnell Wright. I fooled with Darnell Wright as well, the tackle man, got drafted by the Bears. But no, so definitely a fan of his talent and his ability. And yeah, really, when they moved him into the slot, it really kind of accentuated those things that you talk about that we really loved from his college film. Like he was able to be used more so as a blitzer and really kind of put his hat on the ball and really kind of impose his will, so to say, in certain instances, man, using that click and close ability as well. And so I can't wait to see what Mike McDonald does with Devin Witherspoon coming from Baltimore, because I'm thinking about the way we saw, it's a different position, of course, but the way he moved around Kyle Hamilton. You know what I mean? Like, just put him everywhere. Kyle Hamilton, heavy in the blitz packages, used as a matchup eraser. You know what I mean? Like, Devin Witherspoon's quite a bit smaller, but he can, like, that's his style of ball as well, man. So let him blitz, let him roam, let him disguise him, let him do all these things. And so I can't wait to see what he does in that Mike McDonald defense going forward for sure.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. Absolutely. All right, moving on, man. We got two more awards to get to, Willie Jack, before we take a quick break, man. Come back on the other side. Let's jump into the comeback player of the year, Willie Jack. And this one is a little controversial for a lot of different reasons, for a lot of different people, based off what they feel, off of past events and things like that. And Willie Jack, I'm curious to see what your thoughts are on this one, man. Who would be your comeback player of the year if you had to decide?
Oh, it's on me. Okay, well, I did the first one last Friday.
Oh, my bad. I got you.
No, I will. I was just making sure I didn't want us to get off track. But no, I can go if you want. You want me to go, and then so you want me to go?
Oh, it don't matter.
Okay.
Well, I got a feeling of who you're gonna go with now that I'm thinking about it. But
yeah,
go ahead, bro.
I'm going Big Baker Mayfield, man. I'm going Big Baker Mayfield. I'm not gonna go 4 games of Joe Flacco. 4 phenomenal games. Or maybe it was 6 games, whatever it was. I'm not gonna go 4 5 games of Joe Flacco, as exciting as they were. Trump, the full-fledged season revival. Baker Mayfield came back from the dead. Chop, Baker Mayfield's about to get $30 million.
Hold on. You can't just say that with one of the other candidates that's in there. You can't just say he came back.
Oh, damn.
One guy really did.
I'm not gonna respect to Damar Hamlin, my boy. You didn't play football this year. Damar Hamlin had 12 snaps this year, or something like that. So respect, and I say that tongue in cheek, man, because I don't want to make light of his situation. But the fact that he's able to even suit up and get on the field is a tremendous accomplishment. I'm not gonna give him this award over somebody actually, like, you know what I'm saying, that had to go out there and get it done, man, for 17 games. Like, you know what I'm saying, realistically. He was a healthy scratch for a lot of the season. I think he logged more snaps on special teams than he did in the actual field of play. But like I said, his story and his circumstance notwithstanding, I can't give him that vote. Peter King, I think, came out and said he was giving him that vote like 6 months ago just because he got on the field. Well, then what's the point of you having a vote then, sir? Anywho, right. Baker Mayfield revived his Baker Mayfield was damn near Sam Darnold. You know what I'm saying? Baker Mayfield was about to be what we're looking at now for Mr. Trubisky. He was going to be an invisible spot on somebody's roster. You know what I mean? He was going to be trying out for the XFL. He was going to be he was going to be a St. Louis Battlehawk, Chop. You know what I'm saying? That's where Baker Mayfield was going. You know
I would have been a fan. I would have been a fan if he came to the Battlehawk.
Hey, he was on the way. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's where Baker Mayfield's career was going. And this is a guy that was a number 1 draft pick, a Heisman winner. He did have some success in Cleveland. They won a playoff game. They beat my Steelers in a playoff game, unfortunately. You know what I mean? He gets hurt. He tries to play through injury and gets himself replaced by Deshaun Watson. Falls from grace. He played for 4 teams in the span of 4 months. You know what I mean? Like, he gets cut in Carolina. The poor ass Carolina Panthers cut him. They send him to L.A. He reads the playbook on the plane, gets off the plane, and wins Chops Rams a game. You know what I'm saying? In overtime. That's still one of the most impressive things that we saw all of last year. Now, how the rest of the season finish out or pan out, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? The boy was there for 17 days. It is what it is. But goes from there, bounces around. He finds a home in Tampa Bay, has to go and duke it out with Kyle Trask to see who's going to start. He wasn't named a starter until the last week of preseason. You know what I'm saying? And so through all of that, and then credit to Dave Canales, who's now the coach in Carolina, but they get on the same page, they get on the same accord, and then we see this team fight through, win a division. You know what I mean? They were competitive as well. They had a couple close losses earlier in the season. They had a couple tough wins as well. And then this is a team that ends up battling back. They win their division. They get a home playoff game. They win a playoff game as well. And then honestly, they didn't embarrass themselves in the game they lost in Detroit on the road. You know what I mean? They just got beat by a clear better team. But to see the totality of where Baker started, where he went, and then to now see where he's came back from, I think I've got to give it to Baker Mayfield. Like I said, man, he saved himself from quarterback purgatory. You know what I'm saying? He was going to be a nameless, faceless guy that kind of sits around the third quarterback on your roster. He was, you know what I mean? He was going to be one of those guys. He was going to be Andy Dalton now. Does anybody know where Andy Dalton plays? I don't know. I can't remember. He was Carolina. In Dallas like 3 years ago. I don't know where he's at right now. Is he still in Carolina? He might be in Carolina. Backing up Bryce Young. You know what I mean? Like, I had to think about it though. You know what I'm saying? Like, he could have been that guy. You know what I mean? And instead now he's about to get 30 million of them things for Tampa Bay. So I'm going big Baker Mayfield, man, comeback player of the year.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. Absolutely. This one, now this is one you could have called me a homer if I'd have went with my boy Matthew Stafford, because I thought about going Matthew Stafford because Matthew Stafford had a phenomenal season, man. He played really good ball. Also got his team to the playoffs. But I went with Baker as well, man.
Where did he come back from? Was he hurt last year?
He only played 9 games last year. He had an elbow injury.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, yeah,
that's right.
You know, so but I do like the fact that Baker Mayfield came back from a farther place, if that makes sense. So like the distance
for sure
that he came back from, of course, was a lot farther than what we saw from Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford the year before that was a Super Bowl winner. You know what I'm saying? So even though Matthew Stafford missed the season, his job was never in jeopardy. Baker Mayfield coming back from what he came from, he had to do everything in his power to, like you said, Willie Jack, revive his career. And not only did he do that, you know, I think he established himself as the starter going forward, at least for this next year.
No, he think it's money. He think it cashed out.
Yeah. So for this Tampa Bay Bucks team, so kudos to that coaching staff for helping him find his mojo and get his mojo back and get back going. And yeah, I'm curious to see what they continue to look like as they continue to move forward through this, Willie Jack. So I'll be looking out for that. But yeah, I'm going Baker Mayfield with you. You said everything that needed to be said in regards to this one. I thought about Matthew Stafford. No, I didn't want to do that one. And I'm with you too, Willie Jack. Let's stop with the feel good stories. I mean, let's just call a spade, and let's just call these awards is what it is. Let's stop trying to make everything a feel-good story. And it is, some things are a feel-good story, but that doesn't necessarily mean it needs to be an award behind it. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't mean that the person that actually deserves an award.
And I'm assuming you talking about DeMar Hamlin right now?
I'm just talking about in general.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? This is Joe Flacco too. You know, 5 games ain't gonna cut it as a comeback player of the year when you got Baker Mayfield who played all 17 and fought his
won his division, won a playoff game.
You know, 5 games don't cut it. You don't get comeback player of the year for playing 5 games. How you get comeback player of the year for playing 5 games? And Matthew Stafford played 9 of them last year, and he gets qualified for comeback player of the year this year. Like it don't work like that. You know what I'm saying? So for me, yeah, man, let's. The feel-good stories are good. You know what I'm saying? They deserve their story. They deserve their time. They deserve their clock. You know what I'm saying? In terms of recognition. But when we got these awards, let's give it to the people that deserve the actual awards. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's just what it is. And yes, I am, you know, talking about both situations. So yeah,
I got you. And then our dog ZB had a comment. He said he likes these awards where it's guys that come back from benching as opposed to injury. Now, the only thing I say, ZB, is I think it's year over year, because like when Adrian Peterson, AP, man, when AP came back 8 months off of tearing 2 of the 3 main ligaments in your knee and hit them boys for 2,000, 8 months.
Yeah,
like
that's
hey
crazy.
Man, hey,
that's crazy.
Hey, that's different. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey man, that's different, man. So I think it kind of depends. Sometimes I think it's warranted for the injury, and then sometimes, like I said, I think it is warranted. Like you said, when it's a guy that gets benched or gets left for dead, and then then he comes back and finds a way to revive his career, much like Geno Smith last year. You know what I mean? Left for dead. You know what I'm saying? How many of us knew he had been backing up Russell Wilson for 5 years before he beat out Drew Luck and then started and then lit it up? You know what I mean? Like, man, we forgot he was. You know what I'm saying? He was in quarterback purgatory, like we were just talking about, man. And so I'm with you, man. I do like to see those redemption stories where guys kind of get left for dead and then they come back and find the sun.
For sure. All right, Willie Jack, on to the last award we got before we hit a break, man, and that's the Coach of the Year. The Coach of the Year award, Willie Jack. And to me, this one, at first, I was like, man, we got some coaches in this award. But then up a little bit more about it, and I was like, nah, this one's a little bit more easy for me, man. And my Coach of the Year award has to go to DeMeco Ryans, man. DeMeco Ryans, for the job that he was able to do with this Houston Texans team, to take a team who nobody thought had a chance to go to the playoffs, not only gets them into the playoffs, but they win a game. You know what I'm saying? So they get there and they overachieve. You know what I'm saying? So now this is clearly looking like the team to beat in this division, and it's no longer the Jaguars. They come and they just take this from the Jaguars. The Jaguars are supposed to be the clear winners in this division, but DeMeco Ryans and this Houston Texans team had a different thought process. They were like, nah, we're the team to beat, and now y'all got to come to our house. You know what I'm saying? This is what it is here, and DeMeco Ryans was the leader of that. former middle linebacker of the team, man. It was just a phenomenal job all the way around for this team to get this team going, to get the right pieces in the building to help build what he was trying to do. So I got to give it to D'Amico Ryans, man, as the coach of the year this year.
No, and my same pick for me as well. Just like you said, it was pretty clear cut. You got a rookie head coach who brings over with them and signs a rookie offensive coordinator. You draft a rookie quarterback. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, when it's all said and done, and all the smoke clears, you win a division. You win a playoff game against probably at that time, which was looked at as the hottest and most dangerous team in the AFC. Nobody wanted to see that Cleveland team, and honestly, and like I said, the Browns were the overwhelming favorite, even though Houston was at home. They were underdogs at home.
They dominated
and dominated, just like my dog said. And so, I think this for me, man, goes to D'Amico Ryans as well. Like I said, I think when it's all said and done, I think there was good competition for this award. Shout out to our dog ZB, man. He's in the chat. He said that his would have been Stefanski until the Texans end up securing that playoff spot. And I think Stefanski still does need a lot of credit because this team, which especially in hindsight, appears they were a little held back probably by the lack of explosive play from Deshaun Watson. He was in and out the lineup, of course, but to go get Joe Flacco off his couch, you went through 2-3 other quarterbacks before you even called Joe off his couch. You bring Joe in, and then Joe honestly saves you guys the season, throwing bombs, man. 400-yard, 4 touchdown games. Now he threw a lot of turnovers as well, but like I said, man. So Stefanski, I think, deserves a lot of credit for what they did, how they were able to kind of salvage their own season, get as hot as they did, make a run the way that they did, But yeah, no, man, I think it's still for me. This one goes to D'Amico Ryans.
Hey, man, I know I'm a homer, man, but hey, man, my dog.
Oh, man, Chop, man, you can't give all the awards to your Rams, man.
I gave it to D'Amico Ryans, man. I gave it to D'Amico Ryans. But all I wanted to say was, man, they should have gave my dog Sean McVay at least, make it to the finalists, man. My dog, man, before the season, people could name 2 people on our team. 2 people on our team that was gonna make a difference, man. That was Stafford and Donald. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you can name Cooper Kupp, but Cooper Kupp was out. But you know who made the differences? Kyron Williams, Puka Nacua. Players y'all ain't even know before the season started, man. That's all I want to say. That's all. He deserved recognition, not to win it. I'm not giving him the win, but to be in those final, what was it, 6, 5 guys? I think.
And you know what? I'm not sure. I'm not even sure who they had listed as the final 5.
So I get Dan Campbell. Dan Campbell was one. You definitely got to give him his credit.
And that's what I was just gonna say is that we probably should shout out Dan Campbell, man. In totality for the job he did in Detroit, for sure.
For sure. Shout out Dan Campbell. John Harbaugh was one of them. D'Amico Ryans, of course. D'Amico Ryans,
bro. And I'm so mad I forgot to bring it back up when we talked about the Chiefs and the Ravens game, because that game showed exactly what I was saying. If the players got to be great. Lamar's got to go out there and just be the best player on the field. Because where was his adjustments, Chop? What did John Harbaugh bring to that game to try to give them an edge or to turn the tide of that game? But I digress. I'll let it go. For now. But just remember who told y'all first, man.
Willie Jack. Okay, so what would you because Kyle Shanahan was your guy, right? What would you want Kyle Shanahan?
Oh, by comparison, for sure.
So what would you want Kyle Shanahan's adjustments to be if his defense is getting ran through? We wouldn't put that on Kyle Shanahan.
Well, wait. You say so if the defense is okay? No, here's a good point, Kyle. Okay, no, check this out. You know what Kyle Shanahan could probably do if the defense ain't stepping up? We're like, damn, defense ain't doing nothing. I guess I got to score more points. We got to do something. We got to start scoring points. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to know, because that wasn't like the Chiefs didn't light them up. They actually got a touchdown. They should have been. They got saved one. 17 points. 17 points in the first half, not another point scored in the second half. Like,
right. That ain't great in the second half. Not giving up a point.
Is that John Harbaugh or was that Mike McDonald? John Harbaugh's not no defensive expert or nothing. Okay. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, we're giving the defensive credit to John Harbaugh since when?
What is he? Is he the offensive guy? He not that either.
He's not. That's my point. He was a special teams coordinator before he got that job.
So how you just gonna put him on the offensive side? You just gonna pick a side for him?
No, because I'm saying like there's got to be. I want to see him. I want to see him affect the game. Like we talk about coaches' ability or lack thereof to adjust at halftime. You know what I'm saying? Like the adjustments we saw San Francisco make in the second half of that game versus to turn the tide of that game against the Lions. Now there was some things that broke their way for sure. The helmet tipped interception to a catch from Ayuk, notwithstanding Jahmyr Gibbs put the ball on the ground, but they made changes and tweaks to this defense. You know what I'm saying? Like they started giving more man looks and changing things up. I would have to imagine, or maybe I just want to give the credit to him, but Kyle Shanahan had to get Steve Wilkes ass at halftime. Like, hey, bro. You out here getting ran through now.
Bro,
you know what I'm saying?
Bro, you just told me I cannot give the defensive credit to John Harbaugh, but you can give the defensive credit to Kyle Shanahan. Because
if the offense would have picked it up in the second half, then I can say, man, John Harbaugh must have got in Todd Monken ass, boy. Like, hey, man, what you doing ain't working, man. Why ain't we running the ball? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a good point. Why ain't we running the ball? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that we man, that's something that we there's been clips or whatever. Even with listen, I'll be a homer and use Tomlin, but there's instances where he's like, they show like play call. He's like, nah, run the ball right here. No. We want a rhythm pass, quick pass to get the ball in Pickett's hands right now. You know what I'm saying? Like we ran 6 times in the whole game. Like John, I want you to say something. Don't just stand back and be an observer, John. You know what I'm saying? John could have told Todd Monken, hey, man, you got too much dip on your chip. We ain't ran the ball since the first quarter. That'd have been enough. That's all I'm saying. Just bring something to the table, John. Damn.
While I was trying to get through this list, I only got to the second name, y'all.
My fault, cuz.
Dan Campbell, John Harbaugh, D'Amico Ryans, Kyle Shanahan, and Kevin Stefanski were your 5 coaches.
Okay. Okay, so if you're going to put McVay in, who you taking off?
Honestly, either the Ravens or 49ers.
And you want to take Harbaugh off too. Look at you.
Either the Ravens or 49ers, either one.
No, you can't take the Niners off, man.
That's what I said.
You don't give Brock Purdy credit for being if you're going to say Brock Purdy's a bum just in Shanahan's system, then you can't take Shanahan off because that just says that Shanahan's system is so superseding of anybody needing to be talented, then that speaks to his ability as a coach. So he's got to be Harbaugh coming off that list. Just go ahead and say it, cuz. Take Harbaugh off the list. Go ahead, man.
Here this dude go, man. All right, man. We just going to ignore John Harbaugh's successes regardless of who's been his quarterback too, huh?
Man, thank God them teams been. Man, thank God them. Thank God those teams. It's not been his coaching. It hasn't been his coaching, man.
All right,
it hasn't been his coaching.
You got it.
He better hope Lamar goes out there and opens up a can of special, or he better hope Lewis and Ed Reed go out there and don't let nobody breathe, or something like this. Like I said, I haven't seen Harbaugh. I haven't seen it. Go ahead, though, man.
All right, you know what? Let's go ahead and go for a break, y'all. My dog Willie Jack. You know what I'm saying? He feeling himself a little bit. You know, that's all right, though. It makes for a great show, man. So y'all stay tuned. We'll be right back on the other side of the show, man.
For sure.
Today's episode of Let the Film Speak, hosted by the wonderfully handsome and intelligent brothers of Let the Film Speak. That's Chop and your main man, Willie Jack. Yeah, feel me. Also brought to you by the 3 amigos. Y'all know them and you love them, man. That's the 3 amigos. That's like, that's share, that's subscribe. That's 3 the hard way. That's a 3-piece spicy. You cannot go wrong. Now, I say the same thing every week, so y'all can say that home with me. I know y'all ready for it. Here we go. It's 3 amigos, but it's 4 parts to this process, big dog. First, you just got to tap in. Like my dog said, man, come in, tap in. Just say what's up, man. Just holler. Hey, what's up, 3 amigos, man? Like, share, subscribe. Hey, Chop, man. Willie, man, what's going on, man? It's cool I sit on the couch? For sure. Y'all got some cold to drink? Oh, man, my man. Yeah. Oh, yeah. By the way, man, I'm a Broncos fan. That's all you got to do. That's it. That's easy. And Chop, come in, sit down, get comfortable, get a cool adult beverage, and let us know who you ride with, big dog. Then tell a friend. Like, man, that's a nice feeling here, ain't it? Man, it's cool, man. My homeboy was out. He was down. Man, it's cool. I can tell a friend. Tell a friend, man. And you know what? Even better than that, you can tell your friend to tell a friend. Guess what? There's more. You can tell your friend to bring his partner too. Bring one more because we need four, man. Bring them up into the penthouse. Tap in with your dogs, man. Wednesdays at 7 o'clock. You know we don't wear no watches. We ain't got nowhere else to be but in here kicking football flavor with the fam. And now back to the regularly scheduled program. All right.
All right, Willie Jack. Now we back, man. We back. We back on the other side of the show. And I told y'all we had a little bit of we have a little bit of fun on the show as well. So of course, went through our own awards. And now since we are around the time of having our not MVP, I'm sorry, our Hall of Fame finalists announced, I think it's about time, Willie Jack, we go ahead and pick our own guys and who gets in, Willie Jack. And I know you said you picked a few different guys. So we'll start off there, man. We'll start off there. We got our Hall of Fame finalists. I want to run through that list of finalists for everybody so they know who are the guys that are going to be chosen from. And then from there, Willie Jack, we can go ahead and pick our team. Our pick our guys that get in, man. So here are your 15 Hall of Fame finalists, man. You got cornerback Eric Allen, man. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles, New Orleans Saints, and Oakland Raiders. Career from 1988 to 2001. You got Jared Allen, former defensive end of the Kansas City Chiefs, Minnesota Vikings, and a few other teams too. Willie Anderson, offensive tackle of the Bengals and the Baltimore Ravens. Jari Evans, the guard for the New Orleans Saints. Dwight Freeney, of course, that spin move. Willie Jack has been talking about that spin move all year this year.
Special.
Tight end Antonio Gates, man, for the Los Angeles, or not at that time, the San Diego Chargers. Rodney Harrison, safety from the San Diego Chargers and the Patriots. Devin Hester, we all know who Devin Hester is and what he does. Torrey, big game hope, baby, former Rams wide receiver. Andre Johnson, your boy, Willie Jack. I know you love that one.
Yes, sir, Ski.
Defensive end Julius Peppers, man, of course, played a lot of time in Carolina and Chicago and Green Bay. Had a long-lasting career. Fred Taylor, running back, Jacksonville Jaguars, been a fan of his for a while. Reggie Wayne, wide receiver, Indianapolis Colts. Patrick Willis, linebacker for 49ers, and Darren Woodson, safety for the Dallas Cowboys, Willie Jack. So of those names, I need you to tell me right now who gets in.
All right. So now I think the on average or so, average Hall of Fame class is generally, like 5 to 7 or so on average or so. I try to stay true to it. I got 7 names for you. Now some of these for me, I think are going to be pretty clear cut. Number one for me, I'm going Patrick Willis. Patrick Willis is a GOAT. All right, I don't give a damn what y'all say, man. I'm talking about a guy who played in the league for 8 years. 7 Pro Bowls, 5 first team All Pros. He had another All Pro as well. 5 first team All Pros, 7 Pro Bowls, defensive rookie of the year, stud. Patrick Willis is all time. Patrick Willis is on a very short list of the best to ever do at the position. He's in there with Ray Lewis. He's in there with Luke Kuechly and Patrick Willis. That's 1A, 1B, 1C. I don't get argue with your mama. Patrick Willis is a Hall of Famer. Now, next on my list for me, I'm going Antonio Gates. He's one of those guys, man. He's a Rushmore. He's arguably a Rushmore guy at the position. I've got some numbers for you. 955 catches, 11,800 yards, 116 touchdowns as a tight end. Was really one of the guys that helped kind of, I'm not gonna say he revolutionized the position because we already had a Tony Gonzalez who was very dominant at the position, but he did it his own way. He's one of these guys that, well, I can't even say that because I was gonna say he was a basketball player turned tight end. Well, Tony Gonzalez was as well, and so, but even still, just kind of this new wave of more kind of athlete than traditional tight end, and definitely rented up with Phillip Rivers and those San Diego Superchargers. Next for me, Dwight Freeney, just like my dog said, man, it's he's a guy that, like, I think when you talk about Reggie White, everybody talks about, they call it the hump move. It's just a one-arm shiver where he was throwing 340-pound linemen with one arm out his way and then running and killing your quarterback. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's known for this. You talk about Deacon Jones, you know what I'm saying? The little stutter head slap, you know what I'm saying? And then he'll blow by you. You know what I mean? Like, you talk about Von Miller, that ghost dip move that got so popularized that we talk about now. And so there's guys that kind of like set the tone, the tempo, and just did it a way that you knew it was coming and you couldn't stop it. The Dwight Freeney spin move is one of those moves, man. It's perfect. You know what I'm saying? Perfect. Teaching film to this day. Dwight Freeney in this spin move. And also, man, we don't talk about it enough. Dwight Freeney was like 6'2", 270. Bro,
Yeah, he
Dwight
was a
Freeney
shorter
ran,
guy for sure.
bro, he ran 4.3 at Syracuse. Dwight Freeney ran 4.3 coming into the league, man. So phenomenal athlete. You know what I mean? And so also over 100 sacks, 125 sacks, 3-time All-Pro. Next for me, I'm going with your guy, man. I'm going Torrey Holt.
Of course,
Torrey
baby.
Holt for
Of
me.
course.
Torrey Holt for me for a long time was Hall of very, 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 very good. You know what I'm saying? Like he was the guy that I left right on the door. The door was shut right on his nose for a long time. But then I had to go back and kind of look at his case. And I mean, he's got the numbers, over 900 catches. He's got over 13,000 yards. He's got 74 touchdowns. He went to 7 Pro Bowls. Now, he was only a one-time All-Pro. And that kind of speaks more to kind of what I say is like, it doesn't necessarily matter as much to me, like how long you played, the overall kind of numbers, because sometimes you can play a long time, you can pad these stats. A guy like Frank Gore, but when you were in your prime, best for best, ones against one, like when were you were you the guy? Were you the guy for 3 years? Were you the guy? You know what I mean? And so Torrey Holt didn't necessarily have that, and I think his one All Pro selection in his illustrious career speaks to that. But he's an all decade team member. And so when I look back at it, because I can only judge you for what you did in your era. Well, in his era, he is an all-decade team member, and so that's the honestly what did it for me to get Torrey Holt in the thing. Don't tell me he was the best. Don't tell me he was an all-time member of the '90s or the 2000s. I can't remember which team it is, but if he's on that style of team, that style of roster, then I think that speaks to, well, he's got to be a guy that's in the hall. You know what I mean? So I think that's what really did it for me for Torrey Holt. I got him in there. Next, I'm going ahead and giving it to Devin Hester, man. And it's tricky with Hester because he's not a DB. He was not really a receiver. He was a return specialist. But the way he affected ball games is still special. We haven't seen guys do it the way he did, to be like he was the biggest offensive threat on those Chicago Bears teams. Those Chicago Bears teams that made it to a Super Bowl.
Rex Grossman and
Rex Grossman
and Kyle Ortman.
Yeah, Kyle Orton and Rex Grossman led the nastiest. It was disgusting watching them try to play offensive football in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? If Devin Hester didn't score or return the ball to the damn 30, they didn't score points, Chop. You know what I mean? Like it was that dire of a situation. And so he's got a 3-time All-Pro, 4-time Pro Bowl. He's got 20 career return touchdowns. He's got 10,000 total return yards. That's across kickoff and punt return numbers. And so when I look at that, because that 10,000 yard number is a big number. If you're a running back, did you make it to 10K? That 10K club is special. There's excellent backs that didn't make it there. Earl Campbell doesn't have 10,000 rushing yards. You know what I'm saying? Clinton Portis, one of the guys that are most slept on in my mind at the running back position, he doesn't have 10,000. He's 15 yards short. I'm so sad about that for him. He's got 99.85, man. It hurts my heart every time I see that number. But so to get to the 10,000 yard mark in your position is a major accomplishment. He did it in kickoff and punt returns. Well, how often do you get the kickoff and punt return? 4 or 5 of those a game? You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, we got to think about it. The boy got 10,000 yards. 20 touchdowns doing it. And he did it on the biggest stage. That opening kickoff return in the Super Bowl against the Colts to set the tone of that game. Man, bro, I was so scared that they was going to lose. Because don't kick it to Devin Hester. It don't matter what you do. You had to know Tony Dungy, before they went off the kickoff, you can do anything you want. You can put it in the second row. You can kick it out of bounds. We'll take the ball at the 40-yard line. Don't kick it to Devin Hester. Instead, what you do, you kick it to Devin Hester, and 96 yards later, open the Super Bowl with a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? Like, special player. And so I think he's an all-decades member as well as a returner. But I think there's got to be an exception for guys that he's an exception to the rule. And I think he's the guy that should be in. Next, I'm going Julius Peppers. This one for me, man, because it came down, this spot came down to me between Julius Peppers and Jared Allen. I love Jared Allen. I love me some Jared Allen. I like Julius Peppers as well. But when I look at it in totality, he has special freakish size. He was a special freakish athlete. He played football at North Carolina. He also was on the North Carolina basketball team. Got minutes. You know what I'm saying? This is North Carolina. This ain't Albany State. You know what I'm saying? Like Antonio Gates played basketball. He played it like he played like D1 AA ball somewhere. You know, Tony Gonzalez played at Cal, you know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying? But which is against a better school, but I don't think he didn't really get minutes. Julius Peppers got minutes at North Carolina. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the blue bloods. You know what I'm saying? And was a freak age, 6'7", 300 pounds, damn near 40-inch vertical. I think he ran 4.5. Like they just didn't make athletes like him. 3-time All-Pro, 9-time Pro Bowler, 159.5 sacks. He's 6'7", 300 pounds. He's got 11 to 12 interceptions in his career. I think 2 pick sixes. You know what I'm saying? Like when he got older, he went to Green Bay and stood up. He played outside linebacker. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, he was rushing. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But yeah, he was a 300-pound stand-up outside linebacker rushing. You know what I'm saying? So just a phenomenal athlete. And then last but not least, and I've went back and forth on this one as well. Almost, it kind of makes me feel similar to kind of how I feel about Torrey Holt. I went ahead and gave it to Reggie Wayne. Over my dog Andre Johnson, because I think Reggie Wayne was a part of an epic time in football. Peyton Manning revolutionized football. Modern football, the way we play and know and love this game today, that's Peyton Manning ball. We are watching the evolution. Now it's even grown and evolved past that now, but Peyton Manning revolutionized modern football. And Reggie Wayne is a huge part of that story. Now he was robbing, you know what I'm saying, because Marvin Harrison was the number one there, and he was a part of a conglomerate of a fantastic offense. And it was very similar to how I felt about Torrey Holt, because you had Kurt Warner, you had Torrey Holt, you had Isaac Bruce, you had Marshall Faulk. You know what I'm saying? So you had the sum was just as great as the parts, I'll say. You know what I mean? And so Reggie Wayne was a part of that type of machine. Peyton Manning, Marvin Harrison, Edgerrin James, Dallas Clark. You know what I'm saying? Like he was a part of that kind of medicine, that style of machine, and he wasn't the primary guy, but still fantastic career. He's got, and I should have pulled his numbers. I didn't have time, but I know he's got roughly 13,000 yards. I know he's got over 900 catches. I don't know if he got to 1,000, but I think he's got 800 catches, somewhere between 800 and 900 catches. I know he's over 10,000 yards. I believe he's got 80 career touchdowns or so. I know. Do you got the numbers for me?
I got you. So he's at 1,070 catches.
Oh, he did. Okay, there we go.
14,000 yards, 14,345 yards, and 82 touchdowns.
And 82 touchdowns. There we go. And I would imagine he probably made 8 Pro Bowls. I don't know if he ever was an All-Pro, or if he does, he might got the Torrey Holt treat. Maybe he's got six
Pro Bowls. 6 Pro Bowls.
6 Pro Bowls. Okay. Yeah. So you know, like I said, there's a part of the league's history that you can't tell the story without him being a part of that story. You can't tell the story of Peyton Manning because that without mentioning him, because he was a great part of that machine for so long. And then even still, he was the early parts of Andrew Luck. And you know what I mean? He was the go-to guy at that point, and like as the elder statesman, it was still productive. And so I went ahead and gave the edge to Reggie Wayne over my dog Andre Johnson, as much as it hurt, and Julius Peppers gave it to him over my dog Jared Allen as well. But that's my class: Patrick Willis, Antonio Gates, Dwight Freeney, Torrey Holt, Devin Hester, Julius Peppers, and Reggie Wayne.
Gotcha. So you got 7, Willie Jack. So I'm coming back with 7 right after you, man. So I'm gonna run through my list. You gave me some good explanations, and a decent amount of these guys I got as the same when I looked at my list. But the first 4 guys I'm gonna touch on you, and you said a good point. Can a story be told can the story of the NFL be told without certain guys? And yes, you're right. You can't tell the story of Peyton Manning without adding Reggie Wayne to that. But the first four guys I'm gonna touch on, you can't tell a story about them by themselves. So I think they hold their weight themselves. And the first guy I'm gonna touch on is Dwight Freeney, Willie Jack. And so it's not my order of who should be getting in first, or whatever. I'm just going off the list in order and based off of the four these just these four guys.
They're not in order. I got you. I'm writing down for you.
When we look at Dwight Freeney, when we say that name, the first thing we think about is the spin move. We think about him being the guy on that defense. There wasn't many other guys. Of course, we remember with Mathis and a bunch of other guys.
He set the table for that defense. Yeah.
He set the table for their defense. He was the one that they looked to and to make their defense stop. When Peyton Manning went ahead and it's the fourth quarter and it's a minute and a half left and the other team needed to drive to try the game or get a field goal or whatever, Dwight Freeney was their closer. And more often than not, he actually closed out those games. Dwight Freeney was a huge part of this defense. So even if the numbers, in totality don't show, even though he has great numbers, he was just that type of dominant guy coming off the edge. So Dwight Freeney is one of those guys. The next guy, another guy you mentioned, Willie Jack, Antonio Gates, man. Antonio Gates was just different. And you mentioned Julius Peppers playing basketball, but Antonio Gates was part of that lineage of tight ends that played basketball and knew how to utilize his body and put himself in different positions to box out, go up and get the rebound, which is the reason why you see him finish his career with all the touchdowns that he finished with. So, and he was just for Phillip Rivers the number one target and the guy for that passing offense for some time as they went through so many different receivers. Had a lot of different changes. One of the things that stayed consistent with this offense was Antonio Gates. So Antonio Gates probably I wouldn't go that far, but Antonio Gates definitely one of the best tight ends to ever step foot, probably go down as top 10 all time. I think me and Willie Jack did a top 10 all time list.
Now he's easily top 10. Yeah, he's easily in the top 10. There's probably an argument whether or not you think he's top 5, but he's easily top 10.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. So yeah, Antonio Gates definitely a top 10 tight end of all time. And you talking about all time, a top 10 list, he's got to be getting into that Hall of Fame for sure. Okay, the next guy, Devin Hester, Willie Jack. I know this can be a little controversial for a lot of different people, but Devin Hester was a no-brainer for me. I thought he should have got in last year. I thought he was a first ballot guy because you got guys that are position guys. You got cornerbacks, you got wide receivers, you got quarterbacks, tight ends, whatever. If you want to just list him as a position, as a special teamer, or a kick returner or punt returner, there's none other. There was nobody better at that. You know what I mean? You can go look at the numbers, go look at the averages or whatever the case may be. When it came to a guy that no teams wanted to kick to, he doesn't have half of the opportunities he could have had because of how dangerous he came on the scene at being. Because he was so dangerous, because he had a knack for being able to find those lanes, hit the hole, cut, and get upfield and use that tremendous speed. Teams didn't kick to him. They just didn't kick to him. And then you're talking about him leading all-time leader in return touchdowns. This is a record he surpassed Deion Sanders on. And Deion Sanders also started on defense, who returned interceptions for touchdowns. So you telling me only with his special teams he was able to do this? Man, that's a special guy right there, man. And nobody can tell me otherwise. And I think that just his skill set alone and what he was able to do to the return game, he deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He was just different. He was different. And the thing is, special when you see it, Willie Jack. There's some guys on this list where you could say, just like you mentioned with the Reggie Waynes or Torrey Holtz, Devin Hester was different. He was in his own world because he was special. And the special guys usually live in their own world when it comes to who they are as players. So that's where I'm at with that, Willie Jack. So he is my the third guy I want to mention. And then the last guy, I'm with you, Willie Jack. I got to go Patrick Willis, man. Another guy in his own league when he was playing. He was special, man. He was special. Now, he did come on and he played play in the league at the same time, or towards the back end of the career, where Ray Lewis also played at the same time, Luke Kuechly. Those guys were special as well. But Patrick Willis was in his own world, and I'm talking about just doing it all. Coming out of Ole Miss, my dog Mike Baker, man, he's an Ole Miss.
Yeah.
He went to Ole Miss for a little minute too, man. But
word, okay. No, but I
Patrick
love
Willis was
Patrick Willis
different,
coming
man.
out of Ole Miss. I remember him running his 40 with that damn cast on his arm, or at his pro day. He ran 4.3 at his pro day. I know online they say he ran 4.5. Nah, he ran like 4.38, 4.37. The boy was 4.3, man. I'm standing on it. Boy,
You
that
still on
4.3
it. You still, hey man, I ain't here to argue, man. I ain't gonna even try to look it up to try to do anything with it. But the bottom line, man, a tremendous athlete, and when he caught you, man, he was knocking your head off. A very smart football player, and the leader of a defense, with him and Navarro Bowman and Justin Smith, all those different guys that led that team to a Super Bowl appearance. Of course, they came up short, but man, Patrick Willis was different, and you can see it. And like I said, he's one of those guys that was special. So for me, Willie Jack, those 4 guys were the guys on this list who I felt like were just special in their own league. I think there's one guy who I felt like could have been. He could have. Well, actually, I think he was. I just think his situation was a little bit different. And you're gonna be happy when you hear me say this. But Andre Johnson was one of those guys where I felt like he was special. He was big, he was fast, and there was nothing that most players or defensive players can really do with him. You know what I'm saying? So his situation was just different. And I always talk about situations, man. Situations can play a huge impact on a player's career, their livelihood, to be quite honest, you know what I'm saying, in terms of what they get paid, all those different things, it has a huge impact on it. But the reality is, if you would have ever got a chance to see Andre Johnson as the number 1 receiver for the Indianapolis Colts with Peyton Manning, or the number 1 receiver in New England with Tom Brady, you know, or any of those situations, I think we'd be talking much differently about the player we saw in Andre Johnson, man. So Andre Johnson was another one of those guys where I felt like was special, had that special ability, just didn't play in the right situation. But I'll go ahead and give him a 9, Willie Jack. I'm giving him a 9 there.
Hey, I ain't mad at it, man. Like I ain't mad at it. Like Andre Johnson was definitely one of my favorites, man. I was a huge fan of his when he was doing his thing in Houston as well, man. And like I said, I think he's gonna be one of those guys as well, man. He's probably gonna fall short. He's gonna be one of those guys chilling in that hall of very good. Like I said, I don't know if they'll let him get in. But no, I was definitely a fan of him, and I ain't mad at you for putting him in, man. So like I said, hey, shout out to you, my dog.
You gotta give some of those dogs some love. Gotta give some of those players some love, man. And speaking of receivers, I go ahead and stay with the receivers. And of course, I gotta go with Big Game Hope, man. Gotta go with Big Game Hope. He didn't get the name Big Game Hope for no reason. He showed up in the big games, had some of the best hands that you'll see.
He did have great hands.
You don't even watch his hands. Look at his hands. Now his hands toe up, but had some of the best hands that you'll see from receiver, and caught passes from none other than, of course, Kurt Warner, Mark Bolger, Trent Green, so many I think he even caught a couple from Sam Bradford, man. There was a lot of different guys who caught passes from within that Rams offense before ending his career in Jacksonville. And Torrey Holt, I think he had some special ways. He was just different. You know, he wasn't going to outrun everybody. He wasn't going to run anybody over or do any of those type of things. He was just a very smart, precise route runner. He could find those holes. He could create separation, and he made the plays when they needed to be made. You know what I'm saying? So Torrey Holt was a very, very valuable part to that Rams offense. So I got to go with Torrey Holt as one of my guys getting into the Hall of Fame. Okay.
No, I got you. And then hold on, my dog ZB, man, he got some names for us as well. And then Mike, man, hey Mike Baker, if you still in here, dog, drop me a couple names if you don't mind, man. I'll read them for you real quick. But ZB said he's taking Freeney, Willis, Hester, Holt, and Peppers. That's pretty solid. Like I said, I think all those guys for me, like I said, I mean, yeah, I think all those guys for me are probably the clear ones. Like I said, I think there could be. I think Holt could be a guy that maybe is on the line, but I think definitely, like you said, Freeney, Willis, Hester, and Peppers for me. I feel pretty good about those guys. For sure.
Absolutely. And that's 6 with Jack. So I got one more, and I think my last guy is going to be. And I went back and forth because I like Rodney Harris, and I do like his career.
I took a strong look at him too. Yeah.
the you don't see a lot of the Pro Bowls and the All Pros, man. Rodney Harrison was very, very smart, a very intelligent player, and people forget he actually won Defensive Player of the Year with the Patriots at the age of 31. So
Mhm.
Rodney Harrison was a strong win. Freddie T, man, he also was one of those guys, man. I really want to
Yeah.
get in there. One of my favorites for sure. But I have to go with Julius Peppers as well, Willie Jack. Just a freak,
Oh,
and
why did
he
I think you already? I don't know why I thought you already said Pep. Yeah, my
no,
fault.
I ain't say Pep, man. But Julius Peppers was one of those guys. And I'm talking about, like I said, just a freak of nature, man, from the Carolina Panthers days. His Carolina Panthers days, when I watched him just in general, what he was able to do. I think I seen him outrun uh Michael Vick on one of his interceptions. I think he maybe found a way, took the ball from him. Michael Vick chased him down, and it almost looked like he was walking off on Vick. And that's different. That's to say something different, man. But had stretches in with each other teams that he played with in his long career. I think he played from 2002 to like 2018 or so. So
Yeah,
16
that sounds about right. Yeah.
and even through his time playing, he had stints with each one of those teams where he was very, very solid and had all pro caliber seasons with each team, with the Packers, the Bears, and the Carolina Panthers. So, even playing so long, he played to a level where, man, he was just different. You know what I'm saying? So I got to give that last spot to Julius Peppers, man. I think he's earned his way into the Hall of Fame, not only with just his athletic ability, but, with his versatility on defense. So sometimes when you don't see all the stats from a guy like him, it was because they was moving him down on the inside. All right, we need you to play a little bit of defensive tackle this week to stuff the run. All right, now we can go get you back out there to end. Like, he was one of those players you can move around anywhere and he's gonna hold it down for that whatever team.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing too. Like I was a fan of Pep, but like I wasn't a the biggest Pep fan just individually, because I feel like there was like kind of lulls in his career where like there was kind of like periods where he was a little kind of quiet, so to say. But then, like I said, man, like when he was on, and he dealt with injuries a lot as well. But yeah, when he was on and like at his best, man, he was a sight to see for sure. But yeah, man, and I'm not gonna lie. I think the one for me, I was very close on, man, was Rodney Harrison. I think instead of I was because yeah, I think the last guy on my list was between Rodney Harrison and Reggie Wayne, and I ended up going with Reggie Wayne. But Rodney Harrison was real close to me, man. He was like one of those like old school enforcers. He was an
Mm-hmm.
intimidator. He was an enforcer. He was a guy that was consistently. He was one of those guys that was always voted for like the dirtiest player in
I
the
think
league.
I
You
thank
know what I
him
mean?
for our Super Bowl because he's the one that knocked out Trent Green that made us go get Kurt Warner from being a bag boy.
Yeah, hey, no, you know what? I didn't realize that he was the one that knocked Trent Green out that
Yeah.
season and brought Kurt in. But nah, man. But then just an old school nasty thumper, intimidator. And honestly, I completely forgot he was Defensive Player of the Year with the Patriots. Completely
Yeah.
forgot about that. And so I know he started his career, the early parts of his career in San Diego. Man, imagine the defense that had Junior Seau and Rodney Harrison on that defense. Like, damn. Like, bro, it was some heads getting
And
knocked. You know what
and
I'm saying?
a young Shine Merriman. People forget about Shine
Was he
Merriman.
not? I didn't know if Merriman was there. Was Merriman there when I know Merriman came over there, but I didn't know if was he there when Rodney was there though. If he was, then yeah, that's crazy too.
2005 to 2012.
No,
That's
by
how long Merriman was
2005, I
there.
think yeah, cause I think cause remember he won some Super Bowls with the Patriots. So what they won Super Bowl in like
Yeah,
'01 and
you
'02.
right, you right.
Yeah, so
He
Harrison
was
was
with New
gone.
England. You're right. He was
He
gone.
was out, yeah, he was that next wave. But yeah, man, but like Junior Seau and Rodney Harrison on that same defense, boy, I know they was out there splitting wigs. And then of course he goes over to the Patriots, and becomes one of the enforcers over there. Him, Ty Law in that same secondary with him as well, man. And so yeah, he was a guy, man. I was pretty close on getting Rodney in there, but I ended up going with Reggie Wayne, man. Well, like I said, it's hard to tell the story. So much of this league, especially modern football, Peyton Manning revitalizing offensive football, and Reggie Wayne was a huge part of that. You know what I mean? Like the greatest show on turf. You know what I'm saying? Like it, love it, other ways, man. But Torrey Holt was a huge part of that. You can't tell that story. You can't tell the story of the league going into the new 2000s, Y2K. It was, you know what I'm saying, the greatest show on turf. You can't tell that story without Torrey Holt, man. So I gave them 2 to 9 and left Rodney Harrison out of there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely, Willie Jack. All right, man. Well, without further ado, man, We came, we saw, we conquered, man.
There
We
it
came,
is, man.
everybody their information. Of course, y'all know we're gonna be back, man. Y'all know we're gonna be back. This is a big week, man. So you know we're gonna be back. But Willie Jack, I think it's about time for you to go and break us down.
Take us on home, man. Hey, well, there it is. Like my dog said, when we came, we saw, we conquered. That is it, and that is all, man. Appreciate all the love tonight. Shout out to the members, man. We know y'all was in the building. Real quick on the rundown, let's see what we had in this thing. Of course, we had our dog, our favorite coworker, ZB, Zach the Max. Zach Becker was the first one in the door today. Appreciate your homeboy. Of course, the fam band was in the building. Shout out to my moms. Know I love you, lady. Appreciate you a lot. And of course, our dog, Mad Mike. You know what I'm saying? Mike Becker, my Steelers brethren. He was in this thing as well, holding us down. Y'all know what's going on, man. For the rest of y'all, say it with me at home. If I forgot to say your name, damn, my bad. But charge it to my head. Do not charge it to my heart. You know, we think about you, big dog. Man, hey, this is it, man. We got one more week of football, y'all. We got one more half a week of active football, man. So make sure y'all tap back in with your dogs, man. Sunday morning, we'll do a Super Bowl preview show, man. So we'll try to find a way to have fun, man. Like we always do, man. Sunday, 10 o'clock, man. Make sure y'all tap in.
I got something for y'all. I got something for y'all,
Hey,
baby.
hey, when Chop start rubbing his hands, y'all better be ready, man. So tap in with your dogs, man. Sunday, 10 o'clock, like I said, for the Super Bowl preview. Chiefs versus Niners, man. Can't wait to see what y'all think about the game. Who y'all taking? We'll talk about it Sunday. Don't try to tell me now. We'll talk about it Sunday, man. But other than that, man, y'all have fun. Y'all be safe. Enjoy the rest of y'all night. Peace.
Peace.